In the heart of an ancient kingdom, there lay a vast, bustling city surrounded by towering mountains and dense forests. The people of this city were hardworking, yet many often complained about the difficulties in their lives. The weather, the taxes, the long journeys to market. They believed that if only life had fewer obstacles, they would finally find happiness. But the wise King Arav, ruler of the land, knew the truth, that life's challenges were not curses, but tests, opportunities in disguise. And so he decided to teach his people a lesson they would never forget. One autumn morning, before the sun had risen, the king quietly ordered his guards to place a massive boulder in the middle of the main road that led from the village to the city market. The rock was enormous, nearly as tall as a man, and wide enough to block the passage of two carts side by side. Once it was placed, the king dismissed his guards and went into hiding behind a cluster of fig trees nearby, determined to watch what would unfold. The first to approach were two wealthy merchants, their carts piled high with silks and spices. They were in a hurry to reach the market before anyone else, hoping to sell their goods at the highest price. When they saw the boulder, they stopped abruptly. "This is ridiculous," one shouted. "Does the king not care about his roads? We pay taxes, yet this is what we get." "Indeed," the other replied. "Why should we waste our energy moving this? It is the king's duty, not ours." And so instead of doing anything about it, they turned their carts around, grumbling and cursing the king's name. The king, hidden in the trees, only sighed. Later that morning, a group of noblemen rode by on fine horses. They were dressed in rich fabrics, their hands adorned with gold rings. Seeing the boulder, they pulled their horses to a halt. One of them shook his head. "This is an outrage. The king's workers should have cleared this before sunrise." Another laughed. "Why risk injuring ourselves over a rock? Let the peasants deal with it." They steered their horses off the road, taking a longer but smoother path, never looking back. By midday, the sun was high and the air heavy with heat. A poor farmer named Hari trudged down the road, leading his donkey loaded with sacks of grain. He was already tired from the morning's work, and when he saw the rock, his face fell. "Just my luck," he muttered. "Another problem in my way." Hari tried to guide his donkey around the rock, but the ground there was uneven and muddy. Frustrated, he shook his head, spat on the ground, and turned back. "Let someone else fix it," he said to himself. The king, still watching, began to understand why his people often complained. They were quick to see problems, but slow to take action. The day wore on, and the heat began to fade. Just as the king was about to return to the palace, he spotted a young peasant girl walking down the road. She carried a small bundle of vegetables on her head and a wooden staff in her hand. Her clothes were worn, and her sandals were patched many times over. Yet there was a spark in her eyes that caught the king's attention. When she reached the boulder, she stopped. She set down her bundle and studied it for a moment. Unlike the others, she didn't complain or blame anyone. Instead, she placed her hands against the rough surface and began to push. The boulder was heavy, far heavier than she expected. Her hands scraped against the stone, her shoulders ached, and sweat poured down her face. But she kept pushing, inch by inch. At times, she had to stop to catch her breath. but each time she resumed with renewed determination. Finally, after what seemed like an eternity, the rock rolled to the side of the road, leaving the path clear. Breathing heavily, the girl wiped her brow and picked up her vegetables. But then she noticed something unusual. Where the rock had been, there was a small leather pouch. Curious, she picked it up and opened it. Inside were gold coins that glittered in the fading sunlight, in a folded piece of parchment. She unfolded the note and read, "To the one who clears the path. This gold is your reward, for you have shown the courage to face a challenge that others avoided. Every obstacle in life carries within it a gift, but only those who act will discover it." King Arav. The girl's eyes widened. She had never held so much money in her life. With trembling hands, she placed the pouch in her bundle and continued on her way, her heart full of gratitude. When the road was clear and the girl gone, King Arav stepped out from his hiding place. He knew that word of this would soon spread through the city, and the people would begin to understand the lesson. Obstacles are not there to stop us. They are there to teach us, to make us stronger, to prepare us for the rewards we cannot yet see. In the days that followed, the story of the boulder spread throughout the kingdom. Some scoffed, saying the king should have paid workers to clear the road, but others began to think differently. They realized that life would always place rocks in their path, some in the form of financial troubles, some as personal loss, and others as moments of failure. Yet each obstacle carried a hidden gift: resilience, wisdom, new skills, or even unexpected opportunities. The people began to notice how those who faced challenges with courage often ended up ahead of those who avoided them. The kingdom slowly transformed, not because the obstacles disappeared, but because the people learned to face them. In your own life, you will encounter boulders. Sometimes they will seem unfair, heavy, and exhausting. You might feel tempted to complain or wait for someone else to remove them. But remember this: every challenge you overcome leaves you stronger than before. The reward may not always be gold coins. Sometimes it will be self-respect. Sometimes it will be a skill you never knew you could master. And sometimes it will be a door opening to a future you couldn't have imagined. The path to success is never smooth, but the very obstacles that block your way are often the stepping stones to your greatest achievements. So the next time you face a challenge, ask yourself, will I walk around it or will I push until it moves?